The interviewer is being interviewed. The interviewer is being interviewed. He's watching you. I'm a little uncomfortable.
All right, fan cam.
Ready to rock? So, we're here with TG. Time to interview the interviewer. How you feeling? No, thanks for having me. We're in the Rug Radio booth. We're in the hot spot, the hot seat. Yeah, well, thank Rogue for the. You know, hey, shout out Rug Radio. Of course, shout out Decrypt. Shout out Rack, dude. These things slap, by the way. That's the most impressive part. Non-alcoholic.
I'm not getting paid for it, but they do taste good. So.
Right, yeah, that's the worst part. I'm giving them so much free press, so much free promo, so much free ad time. Bro, so we're just going to dive right into it. First questions first. What's it like being the worst dressed person in Web3?
I wish we had a full body
I'm saying, like...
fresh to
Okay.
We'll get the full body picture to close this thing up, you know?
Yeah, hey, but what, so for real, what, I don't want to do all the Web3 stuff. I want to just talk about the TG origin story. Who he is, how he's gotten here, where is he going? First things first, like what made you want to dive into like one-on-one interviews? It seems that's been your focus. You've had Wotherspoon, which people haven't seen yet. You've had Luca, Julian.
Just came on. Jeff Staple was on.
Yeah, you've had some bangers. The Beeple one was a banger. Playing Mario Kart and shit in the Beeple studio.
Shout out to people for that, actually. I think, man, I don't know. I dove into spaces, which was not something that was ever on my radar. Thread Guy, at once upon a time, believe it or not, did write Thread.
Can confirm.
And I was really brought onto the spaces scene. The Lizard, gotta give him props. Lizard brought me on, co-hosted with Chilling for a while, and I think I really found like the value in the audio connecting people through voice. Like when I started doing spaces, I'd never been to an event. I'd never like met anyone from IRL and like had an opportunity to get that connection. And what I realized is like one on a space talking to people through voice, you can connect so much deeper than you can from a tweet at the time. And then I started going to events and I started talking to people IRL. What I realized is like, yo, a 10-minute IRL conversation would take 30, 50 hours on spaces to make up for how deep you can go with somebody in 10 minutes. And I think once I started I did a Jeff Staple podcast. I had never done it before. I didn't initiate it. They hit me up and I was like, fuck it, Jeff Staple. It's in the Rocket Stage of Seattle, so I'd love to do it. So we did this podcast for an hour and I like left. I was like, man, I know this guy. Like he knows my face. When I see him again, like it's love, like knows me. That connection, that bond is real. And I think going from doing spaces, hosting nonstop, to doing one in-person interview, I just realized like it really is that deep. And I think I got an opportunity to interview people, which was an incredible experience. And I just realized like, man, when you get somebody here face to face, you get a chat with them, listen, it just connect so much deeper than you ever could on a space, than you ever could on a Zoom podcast, right? You can do the online podcast, but when you're here in person, you can read body language, you can like make a real eye contact, you can see the ugly outfits.
Hey, yo.
It's sort of just, it's at a different level.
Yeah.
And I guess like secondhand, I sort of like realized after I started doing that, like, oh, I'm like not bad at this. And I think especially now, it's sort of where I want to focus the majority of my efforts. I mean, I like crave this in-person connection. It's like we talk to people all day on Twitter, but it also, online, you want to go something, and you sort of like crave that like in-person connection. And I think as I started doing these interviews, I realized they're like immensely valuable. And I think that is sort of then the motivation to start.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess like, what's the end goal? Like, where do you want to continue to progress this? You've interviewed a lot of Web3 people, but you've had the carryover to the Web2 audience with Staple, with the inevitable Wotherspoon interview. You interviewed a bunch of F1 racers, which has been awesome. So. Shout out Kraken. We're not a partner of ours just yet, but just yet. Hey, we're working on it. But for real, where do you want to go with this? You were shooting your shot on the timeline to Des Bryant. You were shooting your shot, I saw, to Alexis Ohanian. Shot to Mark Cuban. You're pulling up from half court at this point. Yeah. You have to at this point.
I mean, I think it's cliche, I guess, and I have to say that. I mean, I want to be the biggest creator in the world, biggest host in the world, and I think being in Web3, being in this space has given me like a big platform that I would never have had access to me elsewhere. Sort of getting this platform, you're in a spot where like, it's like, yeah, the Mark Cuban shot is like crazy, but is it really? Or like the Alexis shot is crazy, but like, how crazy is it really? And it's sort of like have the reps now. We've done hundreds and hundreds of spaces. You know, this.
And the worst thing that someone can say is no. Like, that's what a lot of people forget. The worst thing they can say is, I don't have time, I can't do this. And that's it.
And not asking is the same as no.
Exactly.
I think the goals, like, do I dare say the terms rich in the gap? It's so cringe. It's the only thing worse than KML.
I hate KOL, bro. I hate KOL.
It's brutal, but I think, I mean, it's really the North Star. Is like, man, I love crypto. I love this space. But I have a lot of other interests. I mean, I'm a basketball head. You know it as well. I'm a streetwear guy. I love sneakers. I love music and rap and hip-hop culture and all this stuff. And it's like, I really do spaces and do these podcasts it's selfishly to learn. Like, yes, it's content you want to consume. Yes, there's an audience I'm trying to cater to, but at the end of the day, like, I do this by myself. I do it to sit down with someone like yourself and get new information. And I think there's a ton you can get in crypto, but there's also a ton of really smart, bright, influential talent out in this space. I think the goal is to reach them. Is just kind of, you know, more than anything, man, it's like how deep does this rabbit hole go? Like, I think that's the goal for myself, is like, how far can I take this thing? How deep does the rabbit hole really go? And it's like, I don't know, and I don't know if I could get there, but I'd be damned if I didn't try.
100%. I think that's the biggest thing, is the effort, and I think that's where I'm like most curious for someone who's never created before. Because from you've gone through each stage of it. You've gone from written content heavily. Like, that's the claim to fame. That was what Thread Guy was, and what people forget was finding projects, finding interesting topics, writing massive threads. Before there was long-form tweets, it was 30-part threads, baby.
Long-form tweets.
Where you press send, it wouldn't send, and you have to rewrite the whole fucking thing. And then it went into audio content and now video content for you. So for someone net new, completely new, has never even pressed the record button, what advice would you give that person who's wanting to get into that vertical?
And it's just like, and you might hear it all the time, it's so real. It's like, oh, just click record, just start. Because like, funny enough, people like don't believe what I was terrified of public speaking. Like, even in high school, I'm like a social guy, a lot of friends, playing sports, whatever. But like, get me in front of the media board for a PowerPoint presentation, I'm shaking. Even I was emceeing yesterday, the first one, I'm holding that mic, I'm like visibly shaking. Like, I don't think that those sort of like the nerves ever really go away. So it's man, just take it for what it is, channel that to the best of your ability, and just like click start. Cause just like, I mean, I just did an interview with Leon. I took 6 to him. He's out here doing podcasts,
going crazy,
hustling. He's nervous, whatever. But he's killing it. It's kind of like, and I think like the worst thing you could do as like a creative is like not put your stuff out there. It's like, man, the worst. Here's the way I look at it. Is like, you send a bad tweet. Nobody sees it, gets suppressed in the algorithm. We don't move on, nobody saw it. You send a really good tweet, if it gets traction, it gets replies, it gets retweets, it goes viral, right?
Yep.
So I think it's the game really with content. I've been learning this more and more. I used to be so focused on like, man, everything has to be, everything I put out has to have this like pristine stamp, it has to be a certain way. But you need to like really take it for what it is. And you know that you do daily spaces, two-a-days for a long fucking time. It's like if you put enough stuff out there for long enough, eventually something is it.
Yep.
Maybe it's not the full episode, maybe it's a clip.
That's it.
A 15-second clip. I saw it were featured in the Pasta Vigas video. I have idea. Maybe it's just a clip.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I tend to feel like you put enough stuff out there for long enough, like you can only deny greatness for so long.
100%.
It's real, like you can only deny it for so long. Eventually, it might take years, and I was lucky enough that it did. It happened rather quick. I caught on to it rather quick, but it's like, man, you put your shit out there for long enough, eventually something is gonna find some traction somewhere, and you'll begin to shape like what you want to do. I feel like at the beginning it's much more broad, seeing like broad threads and like broad topics that you sort of like, as you do rep after rep after rep, it's sort of like find your leash a little bit and sort of like carve out like who you realize. I can imagine the spaces and your interviews and your style and how it's completely different from what it was.
Oh, bro. It's crazy, like watching videos from when I first started at the Nifty in November, December 21, I was like robotic, uncomfortable, and then you kind of find your footing. And that's where I like the point you brought up. It's like enough reps, eventually you'll find that niche, that lane. You like find your lane, it hones in, it siphons down into like what really is the quality I enjoy. And I think that's something else to add to it is like you had brought on, it was just kind of like just start, but it's also like start and then hyper focus on what you enjoy as much as what does well. And that's something that a lot of people struggle with is like, if you're not enjoying what you're doing, is it even worth doing? Is really the question.
It's a double parter. The first is like, you can't fake it. That is
at all, ever.
You cannot fake it. The passion, like, it seeps through. You can try to put a game face on it. And everyone has to, right? There's days you wake up, you know what, this spaces, I know it's early, 8 a.m. EST. You don't want to do that shit some days. But it at the core, like, you're passionate about it. You really care about it. And I think it seeps through. I think to the point of, for, like, not being a fatigue. One of the things I learned just from meeting people and, like, climbing the hierarchy with them was, like, there was a lot of people when I first came to this space, wide-eyed, no idea what was going on. I had it in a pedestal, right? This guy is special or genius. There's some foreign creature that I could never meet. And then you like get to meet this, and they get to like really talk to them. And I think like the real secret is like nobody really knows like what
No one.
artists, brightest minds in the space. We'll even see with projects that are super successful and maybe completely capitulating in the other direction. Like you kind of realize that everybody else is just trying to figure it out as well.
I realized that as a kid, as I got older, was like when you look at an adult, and it's the same way as like in this space. When you look at someone who you feel is like on a pedestal, has like you think they have everything figured out, and as you get older, you realize no one knows shit about shit, bro. No one knows shit about shit. No one knows shit about shit.
Throwing shit out there, hoping something sticks, and you do it for long enough, eventually something.
100%. And I think like that's the most interesting part about like the whole content journey too. Is like we're gonna see people, and I think one of the biggest things is like you look at an NFT god, which a lot of people throw FUD, FLAC, etc. Like he never was trading, he was never doing this, that. He found his lane. He found his lane, and he went and doubled down on it. And I give so many flowers to Alex.
Hey, I'll say this: the take that I said was like, fire as many tweets as possible. A Batman gets impressed. He didn't want to do fire. That's Alex Finn.
100%.
It's Alex Finn.
100%.
Man, people can shit on that guy all day. Everybody calling him brains, calling it ever. But one, the way that he's been able to go is madly impressive. Two, the ability to like do it once in sort of a certain vertical, and then like quite literally reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
And do it again in a different one. That's pure talent.
100%. 100%. And that's the thing. It's like they always say like a blind squirrel finds a nut once, but to strike gold multiple times, you have a talent. Like plain and simple, you got a talent.
Exactly. To strike gold multiple is exactly. Blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. Broken clock is right twice a day.
Exactly.
To strike it twice and leave real.
And that's a big thing, is like doubling down and finding out what makes sense to you. And if you enjoy it, it's that much better. Like they always say too, like if you find something you love to do, it doesn't feel like work. And that's why we show up to a lot of this shit every day. You know what I mean? Like it's why I do 2 spaces a day. Like dude, during the bear, there was not shit to talk about. You know how bad that was. Like bro, we did a 5. Crazy. So luckily I never pivoted to AI. Like proud of myself for staying true. I never made the AI pivot. I'm just saying. Some people can't say the same thing. I never pivoted to AI. But we had one space, bro, and I'll never forget it. It was like arguably one of the best spaces we've ever had. For 45 minutes, we debated what's scarier, space or the ocean. For 45 minutes. There was like 600 people in the space. The comments, I think that space had like 250 comments of people just genuinely having a debate on what was scarier. And it opened up so many new people that I interacted with and met and stuff. That's actually a good question though. What's scarier, space or the ocean? I'm terrified of the ocean. Terrified of the ocean.
Go back to the other take. I get this entertainer in the day talking about content creation, like why do you do it? And everyone has their year to educate, to meet people, whatever. My answer was like quite blunt. I was like, bro, I do this selfishly for my own personal benefit. And I think it's like, man, you can only like, there's like motivation kind of approach. Like it can really only like take you so far. And eventually, like, you know, there's the motivation of where it's all.
100%.
And eventually the tide falls, the clothes come off, and you're sort of like left naked. And man, and what you see
Hey, yo.
at the end is like there has to be like a other like that. Because if you can't like look yourself in the mirror and like justify like why am I doing this space? What can I really do as to why this matters? You're not gonna be able to do the daily thing. You burn out. Like I think there has to be this like selfish rule, like self-actualization. First night being here, why are you really doing this? Because if there isn't something you can point to, you're not going to be able to justify yourself at your company. I'm higher up like goddamn state and want it as to get yourself.
100%. And that's a big thing too, is like there's obviously like every creator has some level of selfishness and intertwined into their ethos and their growth path. And I think that's also like a question for you here would be like, what has been the most difficult part about creating it? You know, like we're talking here about burnout, we're talking here about losing that drive sometimes, losing that motivation, getting hesitant. What's been like the most difficult thing for you? Because you've made a wild journey. You've made a ton of progress from everything from written videos, audio, etc. What's been the most difficult thing, and what's been your worst experience?
It's a good question, man. I think the most difficult thing is sort of, especially in the bear market, I focus on already thing is like it kind of comes back to like why I'm doing this. It's really just like keeping the consistency, being able to see the vision. And I definitely, man, we all felt it, and real life even good in over like late 2022 or 2023 when things are just ugly, and a lot of the financial side of it dries up, the engagement dopamine side of it like dries up, and being able to like look yourself in the mirror, like continue to see the vision of like what am I doing this for? There was plenty of days. Well, I mean, I stopped doing space for like 3 more months because I couldn't fake it.
You can't fake it.
I didn't have it. The score kind of like left. And I think that's okay.
100%.
I think it's okay to like like this idea that you have to, like, if you're not here on Sunday to Latin on Monday, 7 days a week, 24/7, go, 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 go. I'm a huge proponent of hustle culture, just to be honest, but at the same time, it's like, I'm very big on like Sprint when inspired and like chill out when not. And I think it was tough.
I like that. Sprint when inspired. I like that a lot.
When you're not, because it's just like you can't fake it when you're not. And I think like when things get ugly, it gets difficult to see them sometimes. And man, it can be hard. Like people will say like, it's easy to, and I'm very happy to see my friends succeed. Sometimes it's tough, man, when you're not doing so well and you're like looking around, everyone's trolling at the end. Why not me? Why are you not doing this? Or why not? It can be like difficult sometimes to feel that like weight on your shoulders, but I think it comes back to like being able to hate. Yeah, like what is this purpose? Being able to see it. It was kind of like you sit in that dark cave for long enough and do it even when you don't want to. Like eventually you strike. Like eventually, you dig straight down long enough to find some diamonds. Like
it's like that meme I always look at, like the gambler meme, where it's like the dude walking away right before he hits the diamonds.
It's so real though.
Every time.
It's like cliche, but it's so real. I think my worst experience is like, I don't know if there's like one specific thing to point to, but there's like a situation, which is like early Spaces days when you have 20 to 50, maybe less, 10 listeners, and you're on stage and nobody cares.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes when, I'm very self-motivated, and like I very much do this for like internal validation rather than external, but it can be like really tough to do what you're doing consistently without the external validation. And like being able to get up on a space with 15 people and one request if you're lucky and still run the show.
Yeah.
It's like I have because that's really, the reality situation is 99% people that do spaces, that's like
100%. 100%.
It's a lot easier to get traction up tweet than it is to get traction in space. And you get up on a space and nobody cares. And to be able to do something when nobody cares, it's like I'd be lying to you if I said that it wasn't different what to do. But I have mad props for creators. But this is the vast majority of the space of creators that are working their ass off and have no traction. And I look at some of these spaces hosts that are in this spot, but they keep doing it, and eventually they break through. Eventually they're like, like I remember, it wasn't that long ago, Pico Bear Market, that Dancing Eddie made some tweet, and we was really frustrated. He just said, man, I've been doing this spaces for so long, like, nobody cares. The only thing we care about is that stupid influencers fighting, yada yada. Like why am I doing this?
Yeah.
I remember like reading the tweet, and he was kind of going through it a little bit, and the consensus response, like nobody cares for. And he like hit that approach, and 3 months later he's NFT-fi edited.
Yeah. He found his niche, bro. He found it, and he found something he's passionate about, he cares about.
And like we should pull that tweet. We should pull that tweet. Like it was sort of like a rock bottom tweet, but he's like felt it, he's like kept doing it.
Yeah.
Tough spot to be in, man.
But we've all been there. Is the crazy part. You have to be there, and like that's the thing I think about a lot. Is like we only did the 5 p.m. show before we tried the 8 a.m. show. And I remember the first 8 a.m. show we did, I was so hesitant because I was like, it's a new time slot, it's early as hell. No one's gonna wake up, like totally different squad. And the first couple spaces were like sub 100, you know? But then it was like consistency. Consistent. And like, dude, it's gotten to a point now where I feel bad when I can't do the space. Because people will tweet back at me and be like, you just ruined my drive to work. Like, people straight up are like, dude, you're messing up my routine. And I'm like, that feels surreal to me because it's like, oh shit, I'm part of your everyday. And like, we've never even interacted, which is nuts. And it's like that Eddie tweet is like, we've all felt it. Everyone's felt it. Whether it's trading, whether it's finding content that makes sense to you, whether it's, bro, even outside the space, whether it's just like you got friends, close friends who are just crushing life, job promotions, vacations. Social media is like the most toxic thing for it too, because you see all this shit where people are like, how are they living so well? Never fails, bro, never fails. And that's the thing, dude. Like, I've basically eliminated everything but Twitter from my life for the last 5 years. Like, there isn't one. That's the worst part. There isn't one. Like, I'm on nothing at this point. Because I looked at that, and I'm older than you. Like, I'm 30. So for me, it was like, when I hit a certain age, I just looked at it and I was like, this does nothing positive for my life. And I stopped looking at it and slowed down. And I think that's something a lot of people should try to do, is like hyper focus on like what makes you happy. Because dude, life's so fucking short. Like, I tell a lot of people this too. It's like, I value time so highly because there's such limited amount of it. It's the only thing that will never stop, ever. You can make more money, can't make more time. And that's a big thing for me. And so I guess like for you, what does a day in TG's life look like right now? Like, what does your day look like? How do you spend your time? Not at these events, just like what does a wake up to sleep look like for TG?
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, I'm so thankful that the 2024 has played out the way because I spent like in the last 3 months closing in 2023. Like, prior to that, maybe the 6 before, I kind of wanted this like event with CZ, Hill event every week. I definitely hit this like major burnout. Probably like two months, literally 4, right when the goal was to die. And it was tough, dude. And I kind of remember, like, I almost was like, I can't work. I don't even want to, I stopped doing spaces. I wasn't getting interviews. I was kind of like, man, I need a break from this. I very much feel this like reinvigorated. I wasn't treating, I wasn't doing anything. What I like realized is like not doing the thing that kind of burned me out, but I really like to do.
Yeah.
It's like sell, get ready. It's just like the is cycle, and on that, you know, the most important thing the change was getting back to spaces, not for the space itself, but for the retention. I need it so bad, and I'm very much like a kind of a scattered, like creative brain that is all over the cup of place. And I shout out to B-Check.
The GOAT, bro. B-Check's the GOAT, bro. Shout out Modern Market. Shout out the newsletter. B-Check crushes. Legendary's goated.
They're big talent. Remember, I need to come back to spaces, and I needed somebody that I could sort of ask myself. I went out with B-Check, and been doing this like 10 a.m. show. But it's so the morning is so nice. Host it. You know, I wake up, do my thing, meditation, whatever it is. Hit that 10 a.m. to like 12 p.m. space. You feel just like alive. It allows me from like 12. Really, it's like 12 to 5. Now all these calls and these meetings that I would normally just like push off, push away, go. So I get opportunity where like 12 to 5, man. Like I'm on these calls. I feel like I'm back in the game. Taking that meeting with projects, like reaching out to collects, getting on phone calls, like talking to partnership, putting links to sponsor opportunities, looking for investment rounds and things I can get in. It's very much a crypto all day thing. It's seeing all this like content in the morning, run the meeting, stay in the know, like get the content for tomorrow, like get in these whales, in these conversations that need to be able to be inspired to create. Obviously at night, do my gym, do my little good thing, but it's very much like 9 a.m. to 5, 6 p.m. Like it's spaces, it's CT, it's meetings. I'm on like calendars, getting fired back up.
I mean, I'm still trying to get you on a call. You know, it's I know how that works. Like you go a little Hollywood on the boys. You go a little Hollywood on the boys. It's cool. It's cool. Oh, is that noise? That shit is crazy, bro. No, shit, some crazy shit. Yeah, you know, a little riled up over there.
I'm gonna be ghosting now.
Hands start flying. He feels it in his chest. So, I mean, bro, like, because obviously you're deep in Web3, but, like, what other shit do you really enjoy besides hoops, fashion? Like, where do you see, because I assume, and want to make the assumption that that's where these podcasts will inevitably start tailoring to. Like, I'm very curious what audiences you want to tap into, what groups of people you want to interact with, what verticals you want to hone in on, and, like, where does TG's wider net start to look?
So I got really cool, but then I switching up means it's not. There's a place that like is not that area of last year. It's sort of like crypto is kind of everything to me. A lot of us were just seeing that. It was also like so into like really like a grace of place. This party's been a lot knows happening. Like we're really into down with it. People with other verticals, other culture of the world of this space and bars that are they're doing things like we live in bands like that.
A different type of life.
And see like all these around so many creative people and artists and brand ambassadors and musicians and all these people, and I think that gives me a lot of exposure.
Yeah.
Like I'm fascinated by Aldo and blockchain and space things like that. Like, we're just so more than anything, like I'm fascinated with stuff is I do theory. Like I don't know shit about shit.
Yeah,
I'm I ask questions, I shut the hell on, right? And so that's really the goal, is like, how can I get these things from ones with smart, talented people that are with, that know things that I don't know, and like ask them about things I don't. I'm a hood's head, but like Formula One interview, I don't know shit about Formula One. Like, you kidding me? Like, I would love to. Like, I'm pretty new to like being in like fashion or that part of thing is incredible. And her giga talent minds, and there's a pretty close. What you realize too is like all these verticals have like really close symmetry in crypto. And there are giga talented artists that are in crypto. There's giga talented artists that are not. There's giga talented musicians that are in crypto. There's giga talented musicians that are not. So I think for me, it's like, how do I use and leverage the platform that I've been blessed enough to go and shoot these shots at non-traditional people and get them here in their room and on it, like, and learn some shit. Gotta know prior. I mean, I think that's really the like if you don't get that out of these conversations in this space, and it's hard to justify that or not. I'm good mind.
Yeah, I think it's spot on. Which is dope. It's like, it's a cool way to take it, and it's something you enjoy, which is a big thing too. Is there a podcast that you filmed that's never been released and never will be released? Like, is there anything in the archives? Is there anything tucked up in the forgotten files here?
I don't know about never were released, so they could kind of be There's the first, you know what's crazy? The first space,
Yeah.
first space I ever did actually was a YouTube live stream. The show was going. Didn't go to Twitter. YouTube only. It has like,
I watched it. I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen it.
and it's crazy to listen back to that. I love how I never posted them on Twitter. Actually, you know what it is? I haven't really into it. This is funny. I'll say this now. Maybe I'll post it. Deez just wrote this long form article. Kind of like, who the fuck's Deez?
Yeah.
And one of the things you touched on is his like sports betting tweak and sort of his like element. This platform called Lord of the Island. It's like a paid alpha for daily fantasy sports, sort of like the height of the fantasy stuff. The first camera interview I ever did was when I was in sports cards in Lee County with this company called Road Grinder. I did a sports card, basically a video space.
Oh shit.
Hold it for D. There's 50 views. I sent it to him. I was like, I'll never post it. So I'm like, maybe I'll fucking post it now. I listened back to that. I can literally see myself trembling on this video podcast. I did this. I can imagine you feel the same.
100%.
Rather very listening back, and it's pretty inspiring to see how far you've come. So amazing, whatever else. But
That uncomfortableness makes you grow, though. You realize, like, damn, so this shit is working. Like, I actually have gotten better.
I do have a solid podcast on the archives. That's advertised, but maybe the best one. Personally,
I mean, I'm a Wotherspoon maxi, bro. Like,
and I have one with the Artifact guys, with Zapsility and.
really?
I've been slacking.
Really?
Not necessarily holding it back. I don't feel like I've waited too long. I gotta post it.
You have to, bro. You have to.
So guys, I didn't know much about Artifact. I funded them a lot, but it kind of changed my perspective.
$1 billion exit, bro. A Billy's a Billy, bro. And when Nike pulls up, that's crazy.
Maybe I'll fire both bullets to get those out. I don't know if we'll ever see the road bro.
But that's still, have you ever shared that exists or no?
I tweeted I filmed it, but I have not.
Wow. So that's crazy. So we did get a little alpha. So I want you to pull the phone out right now. You don't have to put it on screen or anything. What do your drafts on Twitter look like?
If I put these on screen,
we don't have to put them on screen. We don't have to put them on screen. Can you read one of them out for us, though? Just one that's safe for the internet. I just want to hear what goes through the mind of TG. Because, bro, I've asked this question before. And some people are straight up like, no, I actually can't read these off. Yeah. But I'm always curious because, bro, I don't use drafts. Ever. Oh, shit. You got hella drafts? That's crazy.
My favorite part of this cycle is board APF police giving Clutchy Penguins advice on how not to bad bowl.
That's crazy. That one should have got out the drafts.
Sponsorship.
That one should have got out the drafts. That's a banger. That's an absolute banger. That's an absolute banger. That's an absolute banger. No, but see, I'm always curious because, bro, some people really use the drafts as like a journal. Like a dead-ass a journal where they'll just write stuff and never post it, and I'm really bad about drafts. Like, if I have a thought, I just send it. Like, I don't even think twice. I'm like, oh, this just hit my head. I think it hits on Twitter. I think it hits.
It hits, yeah.
I think it hits. That's so
I
funny.
respect it, though.
I cannot even imagine, bro. Some shit late LA night. I know your ass is tweeting. Oh, let's hear it.
Well, it's kind of a somewhat. You're silent now, but I remember when you were posting 15 times a day about political forms and Serenity, how it would change the world.
That aged terribly, G. That aged terribly, G. They're trying to have like a $5 billion. That aged so poorly, bro. No more drafts. We just had 2 crazy ones. No, we might have to put this in the archives. But nah, we gotta wrap here. So I appreciate you, brother.
Easy to.
Always, nah, your family for real. Appreciate you, always.